Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Jessica Thomas, strategic marketing consultant, speaker, and founder of Relentless Virtual, a growing personal brand focused agency on authority, visibility, and impact. Jessica works with professionals and entrepreneurs to help them translate their real-world experience into a powerful online presence, building influence, income, and identity in the process. Jessica, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you, and I'm very much excited to dive in and learn a little bit more about your journey. So, Jessica, with all of my guests, I do like to start at the beginning. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started up the company, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
I was a criminal defense paralegal and I got pregnant and I was driving across Houston to and from work, and Houston is very large. So over an hour one way. And I decided that I had these degrees and real world experience, and I just wasn't going to keep doing that after I had my little one. So I did what everybody does, and I Googled how to make money online. This was during the time of COVID, but near the end of it. And so there was lots of information out there at that point. And I just dove into the online world as a VA to start. And very quickly, I fell into the marketing sphere for primarily coaches at that point in time. And when I was working with them and learning all the ins and outs of the online space, I realized that so many people I knew from the legal world could utilize this, right? There was a huge gap. So I slowly but surely started morphing it more into what I knew was needed and in a way that I knew it was needed. It took a long time to even come up with what I did because it's hard to explain to somebody who's not in that space, for one. But for two, I also went against the grain of what a lot of people said you should do in building brands.
Nice stuff. Okay, so we'll dive into that a little bit afterwards. But yeah, so naturally, I feel like women, especially when your life gets to that pivotal, you're going to start your family, you need to develop that balance. If you are making a big commute or you're in that corporate world, it doesn't allow you to live that life how you want to do. So naturally, moving into the online space is a great way to do. And yes, within your kind of demographic, I suppose, sector, whatever you want to call it, marketing and sales skills are very much needed. People are very good leaning into what they're good at, their speciality, their expertise, but lacking that kind of like approach of how they get seen, how they get heard, and obviously how they can gain their clients as well. So it's a beautiful kind of avenue to find yourself in. And did you always have a little bit of an ambition to be an entrepreneur, or did that just naturally develop as you needed to develop your own journey?
I think it was always there. Whenever I left the law office and started this, I was about to take the LSAT and go into law school to eventually have my own firm,
Beautiful.
right? That was always eventually having my own thing was always the goal. And then I dabbled in various things over the years, right? Like blogging, MLMs, all the different things. But at that point, it was just, okay, here we are. I had a business degree, a paralegal degree, right? It was that moment of you either leap or you're going to be making this drive. I loved my job. I loved what I
Yeah.
did, but the drive just wasn't doable anymore for what we were trying to do for like family wise. And in that moment, it really came down to okay, make the leap. And I started my company, or I officially announced that I was doing it February of that year. And then I left my job in May, had my daughter in June, and I went back a couple times with training, but outside of that, I was done. And it was at that point, I got to do it now. Here I am. There's not an option.
Yeah, I've made my bed now. I need to lie
Yeah.
in it, kind of thing. And here we are. But I hope you're enjoying that aspect of working as well. Obviously, you're still within a similar kind of field, so you're just helping people, I suppose, set up their own practice at this point and very much provide them with that service that you wanted to do as well. So you have that nice double-edged sword to what you're doing and allowing you to live your life how you want to live it as well, which is that beautiful aspect of working online and being an entrepreneur. So that's so cool. So let's dive into the business a little bit more, just so the listeners can have some context moving forward. So Jessica, at this point in, like, who would you say is your ideal client? Who is it that you very much love to work with the most? And then from there, how would you help them? And how would you support them along their own journey?
Mainly, I love working with people who are going to run for office or attorneys and judges. That's always been my passion, right? Headed to law school. So I really love working with them, but I also do work with a lot of coaches or consultants, people in the fitness world. Really, it's the impact driven individual, right? The
Awesome.
person who really will do whatever they need to do to make the world a better place in whatever way they're trying to impact people. So it's to help them build an online piece. A lot of these people already have a practice or a company that is generating revenue and they're well known probably in the area they're in, right? But now they want to reach broader audiences. And we do that with social media and
Hmm.
email marketing, right? Building the funnel. And so when they come to me, we build the strat, like we look at their long term and short term goal, build the strategy that will fit them and their schedule, right? They're busy people. I can't be having them out there spending hours a week recording or anything like that. Build the strategy to fit them. And then they either have their team implement it if they already have a VA or a social media person and they can work with me on consulting. They can hire me and I have people that come in and help me do the implementation of their social media, creating the freebie in the funnel, the email marketing, all of those things.
Beautiful stuff. So you can very much meet them where they're at, and as you said, help them develop that online
Mhm.
presence in whatever way suits them best. So if they already have the team, just collaborating with them, I assume in very much getting in the trenches a little bit with the company and just get
Yes.
down to the business. And then from there, as you say, or even just involving and immersing yourself with their kind of environment even further and getting those right people to help you out. And what would you say is like that first initial challenge or like issue that people tend to reach out to you with?
Most people come to me based off of the overwhelm of social media, right?
Yeah.
And while I cover all of it because marketing is a system, right? And building a brand is a whole system, the main issue is typically I'm trying to show up online, I'm getting 2 views, I don't want to dance, all of those complaints that come with social media. Because when you look it up, when you YouTube it, there's a ton of information out there. And there's so many strategies because all of them work.
Yeah.
Every single strategy out there works. I haven't seen one that doesn't, but only so many of them will work for you and your lifestyle and what you have happening in your world in that moment. So I try to look at it from a 90-day. We want to look at the long term, but like where are we going in the next 90 days? Set
Nice.
set the pace there and then evolve as we need to every quarter.
Yeah, beautiful. And as you say that, it's such a great way to put it. Like, strategies will work no matter what one you pick, but it's finding that right one that suits you and suits what you're looking to do. And there is so much noise in the world at the moment. The overwhelm must, like, when you are jumping into that space, is one of the things that put people off is just where do I start? What is happening? Why am I not taking off? What am I doing that's so wrong? And there is so much noise of what is right, you would just never know of where to actually begin. So
Yeah.
cutting that, making it clear from the start is a really big advantage coming into it. And I suppose with all that being said, I suppose what is working well for you in terms of marketing with your experience and your background, like what are you finding most successful at the moment and just finding those right people to work with in terms of like channels or methods?
Actually, my main source of collaborations and clients are human connection. At the
Okay.
end of the day, my clients, I'll be like, if you're not talking to people, I don't think it will. That is a piece we have to keep. And I think it's in more demand now because the more tech evolves, the more people want connection. I am a good people person in a lot of aspects. It's been a strong suit my whole life. So talking with people, building a connection. I'm not a big person on cold messaging and things
Okay.
like that. But because I build these connections, I meet people, I go to networking events online and in person, I tend to have people come back months
Yeah.
later. My sales process is a long one, but I have clients who they do the cold messaging. They'll post stuff and they sell like crazy on just the link in the post. And I make sales
Yeah.
that way too. But my primary way is typically they'll come to one of my workshops or they'll meet me somewhere. And then over the next few months, I just talk with them like they're a normal
Mhm.
person because they are. And when they're ready, they always either find their way back to me or maybe you're not the right fit, but do you know somebody else who could help me with this? And I
Yeah.
typically do
Yeah.
because I because of that I have a lot of referral partners too.
Yeah, beautiful. And it goes back to what we said a moment ago, just leaning into your strengths. That's one avenue that works well for you. Why would you not take advantage of that and very much put all your effort into
Mhm.
that basket? What was I going to say on the back of that? Yeah, and then just moving on from there, do you utilize social media in any way or run any form of advertisements, maybe just to help with a little bit of consistency in lead flow as opposed to doing the outreach yourself?
Yeah, I have over the years developed a process for my own self, right?
Oh,
That works well. And so scheduling certain content, whereas other content, I love inspired content. And a lot of people, when they come to me and they've worked with somebody who's, I don't like that you do inspired content, right? But I think that a lot of people, that's where we get the real voice and tone of someone in their copy is when they do their inspired content. So I'll plan my sales cycles. If I'm doing a launch or something, I have the full launch plan, the cycle, the scheduled emails, the scheduled posts, all of those things. But I still do quite a bit inspired content because my main platform where I still pull people from is Facebook. I've expanded to LinkedIn, Instagram. I tried to love TikTok. It just wasn't my place. it, they, my main place that I've gathered and built is Facebook. So that's still my primary,
yeah.
even though I've expanded outward. But I do have a strategy for it. And what I found is not to get into something that's not even in my field, but as women, we have certain hormone cycles, and there's certain times in our cycle where we're more creative. So I've
Yeah.
built what I do creatively around that and then
Nice.
schedule out for the times where I don't ever want to show up, right? I would not book a podcast or a speaker
Gotcha. Yeah.
during that time frame because I'm just not
You're
going
not
to be.
inspired. Yeah, it makes sense, and I suppose people fit. It's weird because when it does come to like the women's cycle, naturally, women in business, we have every right to schedule it around our bodies, and in fitness, they take it very seriously. Like you schedule your plan around that, so it makes so much sense. You would do the same thing with your creativity in business as well. Your mindset, everything changes. So yeah, scheduling the time that suits you better is a really cool aspect. Facebook has always been a great platform, and for me, just looking at your ICP is naturally where I feel like you do amazing. So it is just leaning into that organic approach and to say inspiring people through your content and moving forward like that is a really cool avenue. And do you have a team that are helping you out at all, Jessica, or are you pretty much running the whole show yourself?
Most of it is me. I have people that I contract currently. It's not like employment, but I do have people that I contract for different tasks. So
Cool.
if we take on a website, while I do build some landing pages, I'm not going to build you the best website in the world. So I have people that I would hire out for
Beautiful.
that. And then I definitely have somebody that I contract periodically to clean up my back end, my emails on
Nice.
admin and things like that.
Again, leaving those jobs that you don't really want to be doing. But
Yeah.
yeah, at least you have help coming in for those nuances with clients that you can't necessarily do yourself, just aiding them more on your asset. And I suppose with all that being said as well, what are your ambitions or your visions for the company moving forward? You know, when you think of the next 6, 12 months, what are those targets or those milestones you're looking forward to achieving?
So my goal is to land what I would love is two more just long-term consulting
Cool.
clients. My favorite aspect of what I do is the connecting piece, the working strategically and creatively with the client on what really makes them stand out, right? Because we dive so much into who we're talking to in marketing, I've noticed it's becoming more and more of a thing. Now, more people are leaning into like Why are we hiring that person? And that's what I've always tried to pull out of my clients. So I love that part. And my goal is to get at least two more long-term consulting clients and
Nice.
then be able to have more consistent contractors
Cool.
on
On your side of the team.
for
Yeah.
the done for you instead of just periodically bringing them in, having more consistency on the jobs so that they can just stay on
Yeah,
and
beautiful.
they're there as we need them for whatever it may be.
Yeah, that's a really cool aspect. And I suppose if you have found people you trust already, it's nice that you can provide them with a little bit more work. You can trust them on your side, but they're also aligned with your mission. They know what it's like to work with you. So yeah, just helping out on that whole front. And I suppose if you only need two more, it's just building on that asset and moving through. Where are you probably finding the biggest challenge for yourself at the moment, either in taking those next steps or even within the current business?
My biggest challenge, and this has probably been an ongoing challenge that I have slowly tackled little bits of at a time, is I want to give so much more than what I'm receiving, right? And then we lead to burnout and all these things.
Yeah.
And I try to give too much when we just need to, and I'm huge on boundaries, right? Because I had reached a point of burnout. Like the first year was a rough one. And so I'm still slowly tackling the no, that's not included. You have to pay extra for that piece. And I know there's so many other people out there that do the same thing. Oh, I love what you're doing. Let me add this. No,
I said that
you
so fast.
have to pay for it. And it really is, it's a piece that has been a struggle. I've gotten so much better about it. But I know so many other people struggle with that too. I think that's probably my biggest piece is still overcoming those little moments where I want to just do too much for what the rate is.
Yeah, and it's I speak to a lot of founders and it is something a lot of people struggle with, especially in those early days, as you mentioned yourself, they're hitting burnout within that first year. You do feel like you can help everybody and you want to help everybody, which is the main problem within that. Especially most founders are caregivers, they're empathetic people, which is why they get into that space of helping creatives and want to impact as many people as possible. So yeah, it's just and it is holding your boundaries and it's not a sense of you can't do the job, it's just I can't do it at the moment, or I'm not willing to do that. And it is just standing your ground and knowing that if you do, we're gonna have to pay for it and move on from there. It's a business at the end of the day, and I think
Yeah.
that's the one thing you have to remember. And I have one final question to ask you, Jessica, before we log out. So, if you could go back in time to a younger self, and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you say to yourself?
Just do it. And not because we're Nike, but because every instance in my life where I have just decided, literally woke up and decided, that's how I got here, right? Woke up and decided that I was going to go do this because where I was not good enough, no matter how many people thought I was crazy, because it normally isn't anything that people are like, oh, that seems like a brilliant idea. Just go do it because it's always paid off. It's always worked out in my favor. And it's really mind blowing to look back and see how many times I've just made the decision to go do something, done it, and it not been a problem.
Yeah, I love it. And Nike said it first, but we can steal it.
Yeah,
Just do
yes.
it.
It's,
Perfect.
it really is just
Just do
go
it.
do it.
Exactly that. Don't be scared. And Jessica, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to do so?
So I have all of my handles for my personal brand and my website is it's the Jessica Thomas. So it's the jessicathomas.com. It's the same handle on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, but I'm not really over there, but everywhere.
Everywhere. TikTok is a wild place. But Jessica,
And
thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time again. And
thank
to
you
our
so much
listeners,
for having me.
no, I appreciate it. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to go and check out the Jessica Thomas. As she said, drop a message anywhere. I'm sure she would love to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from zero to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we'll see you on the next one.